What do you think of them?
This is why it's so nice to not have makeup on.
That is so beautiful.
No.
They're ridiculous.
No.
She never stops whining.
No.
Meghan Markle Googled, is the race card an actual card?
Slay the dragon, save the princess. I'm like, that's my husband.
Hey, I love your Luke.
Sorry, what's that?
Your Luke. You look amazing. Your Luke.
My Luke. My Luke. My look. She likes my Luke.
Your voice is driving me crazy and I'm about to jump over there and put my fist down your throat.
She's allegedly wearing no makeup. Meanwhile, she's got like the perfect blowout. Like she's completely camera ready. And she also is pretending like she's crying. There isn't a tear in sight. It's an actor's trick.
I've never seen someone that struggles to just give us like one strip of authenticity.
I think the woke have been asleep.
Oh my gosh, I work so hard.
You're complaining about your hard life and you're so privileged. It's just so weird.
It's ridiculous.
I'm searching for something to like about her, and it's so hard.
Well, if Meghan and Harry can quit their family, you can too.
No.
Is Meghan Markle acting like the victim once more, or is she truly the Duchess of Drama?
Here's an email that I've been keeping for you.
I have full body chills right now.
This is why it's so nice to not have makeup on. Thank you. Yeah.
That is so beautiful.
No.
Did her tearful podcast appearance improve her reputation, or did it only make matters worse? After all, nothing felt genuine, and Jamie Kern-Lima, the host,
Amy Kern-Lima, who seems to be even more fake and insufferable than the Duchess.
Both of them did come across like they haven't actually, been in touch with maybe someone who's worried about the price of eggs.
Very first question, because I think in friendship it's so important. And I think so many people also have this question for you is, Meghan, how are you? And are you okay?
That's so kind.
Yes, it really is that awful. I may have blacked out from smacking myself in the head.
They both gave the impression that they hadn't really gotten in contact with anyone who would be concerned about the cost of eggs.
And when you do interviews on your show, do you do the Jamie Kern-Lima reactions? Yes. Oh my God, there's something wrong with her.
The way she continued to compliment Meghan as though she were royalty in human form gave me the chills. It felt more like a fan club gathering than a legitimate interview.
Kids that's fun, so many good songs, and I've become that mom where I'm like sitting around with friends and I start singing like Tyrannosaurus, that's the chorus, Tyrannosaurus. I was like, what am I singing? Oh my gosh, I'm singing Storybook. I'm singing Storybox. I am not singing Beyonce in that.
Let's now examine how the internet stoked her Time magazine most significant moment, Prince Harry's disastrous BBC interview that made critics shudder, and all the inside rumors alleging that Meghan is more narcissistic than noble. Even when she discusses children, she is still talking about herself.
40 minutes into the podcast, this little picture, quite a grainy picture, flashed up, which shows a basket of, homemade preserves with a card on it, HRH. Duchess of Sussex, Meghan.
You dropped off this gift basket with ice creams, homemade strawberry sauce to put on top of the ice cream.
I find it a little bit cringe to give a gift to a close friend and sign it Her Royal Highness.
Why even in private? She's using that full title, Her Royal Highness.
I would never refer to myself as Her Royal Highness.
They won't let me call myself Her Royal Highness anymore, but I'm going to put it all over my stationery and on the gifts that I give to my friends.
The Spotify arrangement was cancelled. Perhaps it's time for her to cease signing gifts as Her Royal Highness, since no one is interested in her Netflix show anymore, and she faces expulsion from the royal family.
I just think she's crying for sympathy, playing the victim, when there's nothing to be a victim about, and there's also no sympathy to be granted for this lifestyle that she's chosen to live.
Meghan Markle's most recent podcast was marketed as being honest and unscripted, with no makeup and simply the Duchess of Sussex sharing her heart. However, to be honest, it didn't feel genuine at all. Rather, it felt to be a cleverly planned public relations ploy disguised as vulnerability.
Work so hard. The moment that everything sells out, it doesn't mean that we're done. It means we're working on replenishment and what are the next SKUs and what's the next tranche of products and what's the timing on that, and writing the newsletters and writing the social media captions and making sure that all that feels in line and what's the cadence of it. And
in this interview, she really goes on these tangents of talking about how stressful her day is. And when I was listening to it, I was thinking, no, that sounds like a normal day to me.
When Katy Perry referred to herself as an astronaut, it seemed more genuine than when Meghan Markle pretended to be one. Jamie, the podcast presenter, is Meghan's buddy, but let's face it, she kissed her ass the entire time. It felt more like a pre-written fan letter than an interview, and in the end, we only learned how far Meghan's royal fakeness can go.
flopped. It flopped really hard despite Spotify trying to push it, and they realized that these two don't really want to work, okay?
Happened to Spotify. The critics were horrible about With Love, Meghan. You sold inventory that you didn't have on asever.com. People are still waiting for their refund.
So when she's trying to sell these kind of, I'm sorry, but crappy, cheap tats to middle America, she needs to have this relatability, and she doesn't have that at all.
Meghan's critics weren't buying it. Most thought it was a well-planned move to push her as an ever lifestyle brand. Sure, everything sold out in 30 minutes, but the trick is that there wasn't much product to begin with. It's a marketing game to make her look successful even though the entire thing was built on smoke and mirrors. She really goes on tangents about how stressful her day is in this interview, and as I listened to it, I thought, no, that sounds like a normal day to me.
She's trying to sell herself as this wholesome mother who's baking cookies and making tea for the rest of the family.
And this was one of the most every mother out there will understand. She wants us to put together a fruit crudité board for our children in the morning. Now, look, Maureen.
I can't.
Look at this.
I can't.
She is doing a cooking show on Netflix. I only watched 5 seconds of it, and I thought she was going to cut her wrist by trying to zest a lemon. This girl has never been in the kitchen in her life.
Online users continue to express dissatisfaction over orders not being delivered, even after almost a month has passed. Exusers quickly characterized Meghan's trademark filings for pet bowls and yoga mats as a desperate attempt to make money, which only made matters worse.
I don't like her.
That's what everybody says.
Yeah.
Everybody who works for her quits. Everybody says she's a bully. She's very nasty. Not only is she incredibly controlling, but she's a bitch about it to everybody who works for her. When things inevitably start spiraling downward, she blames everyone but herself.
I must admit that I have never encountered a podcast where the host spends so much time boasting about how wonderful their life is.
They want it both ways. These people were so mean to us and poor us, and we don't want all this attention. And then let me write a book about how much we don't want attention.
No effort, no integrity, simply constant self-promotion. Therefore, the main question is she genuinely bare her soul or just acting her way through another episode of the Meghan Markle show?
Imagine being Archie or Lilibet and opening this inbox of 6,000 emails when you turn 18. No one wants that, not the children. And also it sets this really unrealistic expectation, which Meghan is so good at doing for other parents.
If I don't have meetings in the morning, then I try to do school drop-off. They're at 2 different schools. So from 6:30 in the morning on drop-off mornings for me, I'm not home till 9.
Her life is so hard because she has to do school drop-offs. And thank God that she's got a live-in nanny basically raising these 2 children.
Meghan, who is once again playing the role of the ideal mother, says she emails her 2 children every night. If you can believe that, it sounds more like a publicity stunt than actual parenting. After all, who does that? It's the kind of thing people say when they want to appear perfect, not sincere.
You haven't seen any of the questions ahead of time, and we're in our sweats, and you look the exact same with no makeup as makeup, and we're just...
That's very
The fact that Jamie pressed the point that Meghan hadn't seen any of the questions beforehand made it even more bizarre. Why repeat that so much felt less like honesty and more like damage control before the internet could call it fake? The episode garnered millions of streams, with clips going viral on TikTok and Instagram, but not everyone was impressed. Host Jamie Kern-Lama called it raw, but most people weren't buying it.
She's allegedly wearing no makeup. Meanwhile, she's got like the perfect blowout. Like she's completely camera ready. And she also is pretending that she's crying. There isn't a tear in sight. It's an actor's trick.
During promotion for Suits, she was joking with one of the photographers that she can cry on command. Left eye, go. And then you watch a tear fall down her face, and then she starts cackling because she's so proud of herself.
She has this really famous thing where she says 1 tap left eye and she can make herself cry on demand.
Really, why do you keep saying it and making it such a big deal? Are you attempting to persuade the audience, or are you merely trying to convince yourself that this wasn't all staged and phony from the beginning?
Just another lie from Meghan, where she's told us one thing about this wholesome family life that she's got, but really it's staff behind the scenes that are upholding this entire image for this woman.
In any case, we still didn't buy it since it seemed too flawless and well practiced. Alexander Lerman of the Daily Mail described her tears as an obvious attempt to remain relevant, and to be honest, he's not incorrect. Former users attacked her, pointing out how well-polished everything appeared and how it was all part of a plan. One person even made the joke, even her tears have a PR team. Furthermore, to be honest, it felt more like a disguised brand launch than a breakdown.
kind of fucked up their whole thing. Went way too hard on we're victims, and they assessed the mood of their generation and America correctly in that we are lovers of victimhood.
Yeah.
But America did finally find a way to say, you know what? We love victims, but you two, we've just had a little too much of it.
The Express even quoted royal insiders who stated that this abrupt emotional shift won't improve her image. Rather, some think it's just another performance, another calculated move to stay in the headlines while pretending to be relatable. Markle reported that critics found her stories to be excessively self-centered, constantly returning to her brand or her personal struggles as though everything had to be about Meghan.
Make the Times list of cool people, but she did get invited there because her agency probably bought her access. This is one of the goofiest things ever.
Because I think it speaks to the tiny moments of joy that are so effortless and just create a little bit of magic that we're all craving.
What in the hell word salad is this?
Tiny little flower petals that are dried. I started putting them on salads. I started putting them on scrambled eggs. Level of charm that you find people have when they see these tiny little dried petals is something I can't fully wrap my head around, but I appreciate.
I'm elevating it by putting dried flower petals on all of my food.
Meghan's significant event at the age of 100. Summit had a lot of negative feedback almost once, and to be honest, I'm still not sure who seems more phony in these staged interviews. Whether it was Blake Lively's staged charm or Meghan Markle's royal victimization, the entire situation felt terribly staged.
She married for money. It's very clear she bagged the elephant. She was thrilled she became a, quote, princess.
I mean, Meghan did claim that before dating Harry, she never Googled him, and she said she didn't know much about the royal family.
It was planned from the beginning. I know someone who knows the ex-husband who said she had a vision board with Prince Harry on it. And
Before they met?
Yes.
Even though she didn't make the 2025 list, her Times Summit speech only served to increase the backlash. Critics called her inclusion ridiculous, pointing out that her business is failing and that she sells jam, honey, and cupcake sprinkles, not exactly changing the world. Who does she think she is, Gayle King? That's a real woman who made history. She literally went to space. Meanwhile, GB News quoted critics who called Meghan a self-promoter who relies on royal titles for relevance, and that her so-called influence feels more like a PR favor than a crown.